Hey everybody, welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. So today I want to talk about the idea of Behavior's licensing problem. Now, I don't mean it's a problem that Behavior can or can't get licenses. I don't think that's the issue. I think the bigger issue is something to do with the last two licenses we got, which were Xenomorph and Chucky from the Child's Play franchise. So I've seen a lot of people talking about the idea that these chapters should have been huge and we should have got a bunch of players. Now, I've been talking to a few people, and as someone who's in the Chucky fandom, I don't think you guys realize how niche these franchises actually are. They're not in the public zeitgeist as much as you think they are. Don't get me wrong, they're household names. If I ask somebody, if they've heard of the Alien franchise, they probably have. If I ask someone if they know who Chucky is, they probably do. But it's not something that's on their mind all the time, and they can tell you various details about, which I can't say the same for some other ones, like Michael Myers. I think everyone knows who Michael Myers is. Or Jason, which we'll talk about here in a second, or Bubba. Those three, I think, are the big hitters. And Freddy, I think, is another big hitter, because even though he hasn't had a movie in forever, I think people still know those movies or know of those movies, and they will always be popular. But I think this leads into a bigger question: has Behavior kind of gotten all the big ones too soon? And what do I mean by that is, like I said, all the big hitter horror icons have already been put into the game. With the one exception, two technically speaking, but with one exception, and that's Jason. Maybe you can argue Pennywise, but maybe. I think Pennywise is really the only other one, movie-wise, and we'll get into that in a second here. Jason, because of, the legal issues, obviously isn't coming to the game, at least for a while. But they already got the big heavy hitters, so when something like Pinhead or Chucky or Alien comes out, it's really not as hype as it should be. It is to us who play the game, and it is to us who are embedded into the horror zeitgeist as a whole. I'm a huge horror movie fan, so of course I know who these characters are, and I think it's a huge deal that they're in this game, but not the average person, especially the average person who plays Dead by Daylight, isn't going to care really, right? They're just caring about, what does the character do? What do they bring to the game? Not so much anything else. And then the topic becomes, well, where else can they pull from? Well, there's a lot of newer horror franchises that are coming out. I think Terrifier is a huge one that everyone asks for, and it's really the only one off the top of my head. I struggle to think of other horror icons that they can really get. Then there's video games, and I think video games are where we're going to start seeing a lot more licenses from. Right now, we've had the two Resident Evil ones and Pyramid Head. Those have been the three video game franchises that have come to this game. Pyramid Head was massive and so unexpected when it happened. Nemesis and Wesker basically almost doubled the player base. They were so huge they made two. I think it's the only franchise in Dead by Daylight that's had two chapters. Right? That's how important and big it was. And I don't think we're ever going to get to that point again, because I think Resident Evil is top of the crop horror. Say what you will about some of the later games, but it's probably the most well-known horror video game there is. Now, I'm going to say something I know is going to make some people mad. Five Nights at Freddy's is a franchise that I think is going to come to this game at some point. And I think we'll get a massive player spike from it because of how well known it is. The other thing with this is the translation, right? People who are already invested in video games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill already play video games. Therefore, when it gets added to another video game, the transition's a lot easier versus someone who's like, oh, I watch the Halloween movies, but I've never played a game in my life, right? Some of them might show some interest and try it, but it's not a definitive, this is going to make them come to the game, right? And I think it's something we need to remember is that a lot of the big hitters are already done. They've already been added to the game. And I struggle to think of anyone, especially on the movie side, that hasn't already been added. As far as the video game side, I mean, there's a lot of options, but I think the big hitters are things like FNAF and maybe another Resident Evil character, honestly. But yeah, I mean, those are the really big ones. I would love to hear some more iconic ones that I've heard of. And remember, this has to be iconic generalistically to the general public, not to people already in the fandom. Like I said with Chucky, I'm a massive Chucky fan of the movies, the TV show, Don Mancini, and all of his work. However, that doesn't mean, and even though I interact with people that are, that doesn't mean that I think the franchise is bigger than it is. I very rarely hear anyone outside of the fandom talk about the TV show or the new movies. Like, even if they get good reviews, that's not the point. A lot of people aren't watching them or don't even know about them or watch them and forget. And that's the thing. That's the thing I think we need to remember with this stuff. But yeah, like, let me know what you guys think of which licenses you think would come to actually surpass some other ones and would be really, really hype. Not just ones you necessarily want, but because, like I said, say what you will about Five Nights at Freddy's, it will bring a lot of players to this game. It will. It just will. There's no doubt in my mind the player numbers would skyrocket from them adding it. In any case, I love you guys. Links and stuff are below. I'll see you on the next one, and yeah, bye.